After weeks of clear skies, northern lights, freezing winds, the weather is changing. Agreeing, Crow? And we have soft snow falling, covering the landscape. Before we jump into this episode, I would like to do a quick recap of the full moon in Leo that was on the 1st of February. Have a look at this. In the inner ring, we have the Norwegian chart from 1814 that we just looked at. And in the outer ring, we see all the planetary placements for the full moon in Leo now on the 1st of February. In the chart for Norway, there are no planets at 13 degrees making contact with the full moon, but the MCIC axis is close, just 1 degree off in fact. This indicates that there can be something coming up. But what could that be? The MC is considered a very public and visible point. It's often about the government, king, or other prominent people. So we might see Norwegians making headlines in world news around this full moon. Of course, the full moon is also squaring the IC, pointing to the foundation of the nation, the land and infrastructure, domestic affairs, home and security. I don't know what or if something will come up, but it will be interesting to see if it does. Something did come up. In America, they released 3,000 new documents in the Epstein case, and Norway was implied in those. In fact, our own Kronprinsesse Mette-Marit was mentioned hundreds and hundreds of times, and that made news in Norway. But now, this morning, I checked the newspaper and it's all over the world. It's in Germany, Sweden, Denmark, Belgium, CNN, everywhere. I wish it could have been something better and nicer, but I guess those things don't make headlines in the world. In this episode, we will be talking about the upcoming eclipse season. Mercury prepares to go retrograde, and we will have the second new moon of this year, now in Aquarius. An eclipse season is a period of 35 days, occurring 2 times each year. On occasion 3 times, when the orbits of the Earth, Sun and Moon align. During eclipse season, the Sun and the Moon are close to the lunar nodes. This is the line where the Moon's orbital plane intersects with the Earth's orbital plane. A solar eclipse is formed during the new moon, and a lunar eclipse is formed during the full moon. You know, the lunar nodes are especially important now in February and March. Let's take a closer look at them. In this illustration, starting from the 11th of February, you can see the lunar nodes at 9 degrees in the inner ring. The north node is in the sign of Pisces and the south node is in the sign of Virgo. Nodes are powerful points that are always on an axis between two signs that are similar in theme but opposite in expression. On the 11th of February, Mercury will enter its retrograde cycle. And as you can see, this happens right by the North Node. The North Node is now in Pisces. Pisces is a sign connected to otherworldliness, the magic of nature, the magic of music, of compassion, of feeling oneness and being connected to everything. The feeling of peace and bliss and nirvana. While the South Node is in Virgo, a sign that's about sorting out all this worldly stuff, being critical and analyzing what's useful, what's not, what's to keep, what's to throw away, and always striving for perfection. In astrology, nodes are connected to destiny and karma. The purpose is to move towards the North Node. The South Node represents what we already have, what we were born with the knowledge of. We are not meant to move in a straight line, but to remember and integrate the knowledge of the South Node on our journey. If you were born in these periods, you will have your South Node in Virgo and North Node in Pisces. Mercury is not moving backwards before the 25th of February, but then it will move all the way back to 8 degrees, from 22 degrees of Pisces. Mercury makes this retro dance 3 to 4 times every year, so it's not unusual. But if you have any personal planets at 8 degrees or 22 degrees of Pisces, you might get hit with some Mercury retro energy. Mercury is the planet of curiosity and mischief. It represents the way we think, learn and make connections. Quick and witty, Mercury doesn't go very deeply into things, and he might make a few mistakes. A retrograde period is a time to review, rethink something in your life. It's a second chance to complete something left unfinished. Mercury will move forward again from the 20th of March. Ep, not so fast. We are a long way from March yet, and we have a solar eclipse and a new moon to cover. A solar eclipse happens when the new moon is coming up next to the nodes. We have the sun and the moon in Aquarius, only 10 degrees from the North Node on the 17th of February. And this will give us a solar eclipse. You know, when you still can see the outer ring of the sun and it will not get completely dark, like on this illustration. So let's take a closer look at the chart for the solar eclipse on the 17th of February. There is a lot to cover. We see this huge pileup of planets around the new moon, all moving from Aquarius through Pisces into Aries. Take a look at the two planets in Aries, Neptune and Saturn. Do you see how close they are? Only 15 minutes apart. Saturn will make an exact conjunction to Neptune on the 20th of February. And that date is worth making a note of. Something will be set in motion at the world stage. The way we study and learn astrology is by going back and looking at the last time the planets made a similar geometry. But there is no similar geometry to this. Sure, Neptune and Saturn comes into conjunction every 36 years, but they don't do it at 0 degrees of Aries. The last time we had something like this could be 6,000 years ago, but none of us alive today can remember what that was like. What we do know is that Saturn and Neptune conjunctions are about transcending boundaries, losing control. At the last Neptune-Saturn conjunction in 1989, we did see the fall of the Berlin Wall. Let me pull up the chart for you. Here we see Saturn and Neptune conjunct in Capricorn, only 15 minutes apart, on the 9th of November 1989, when the Berlin Wall fell. The wild birds are finally checking out their Christmas present. A teacup diner with homemade snacks. Let's fill up the food bowl with more seeds and nuts for them. In this cold, they need a lot of energy to stay warm. Back to the new moon and solar eclipse on the 17th of February. The inner ring is the 1814 chart for Norway, and the outer ring is the planetary placements now. We see the sun and the moon at 28 degrees right on the ascendant-descendant axis for Norway, just in the beginning of the 7th house. The 7th house is about relationships. For a nation, it could be about foreign politics, trade agreements, finding new partners, or strengthening old relationships. If you have any personal planets at 28 or 29 degrees of Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, or Scorpio, this new moon will be highlighted in your own personal life. It can be in another house, of course. In fact, it most likely is. But the Aquarian energies will start to stir. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, so you might start to feel restless. You might feel provoked, or having the need to stand up and say something. Remember, at a new moon we are in the dark. Things are not clear to us yet. It is a time to make a wish list, putting down ideas on paper and let them mature. Coming back to the chart for Norway and the new moon, we notice Norway's sun representing leaders, royalty or government at 25 degrees of Taurus, conjunct Uranus at 27 degrees. It's directly opposite Uranus from Norway's birth chart in Sagittarius. And they are all squaring the new moon on the ascendant-descendant axis. This is powerful, but what can we make of it? Remember, I am no expert. I am a student of astrology. But I would like to share some of my thoughts and ideas on this, and I would love to hear what you have to say as well. Perhaps we can learn from each other. So what do we have here? A new moon and a solar eclipse is often pointing towards a crisis. And with all these Uranus energies, something shocking and different is about to surface. Uranus is so highlighted in this. The sun and the moon being in the sign of Aquarius that's ruled by Uranus, and both sun and moon square to Uranus natally for Norway and in the sky at this moment. I think it will involve the government, our leadership, because it's square to the sun. Being on the ascendant-descendant axis, it will be felt affect the general public, us Norwegians, our image, our reputation. But it is in the 7th house, so it can be about Norway's relationships, other countries, our alliances, friends and enemies. And I think it will be about our beliefs, because Jupiter is there on the ascendant, and we have the Sun and Uranus in Jupiter's 9th house. How do we see ourselves? And what do we believe about people from other nations? I think Norwegians are being prompted to wake up to something, see things, ourselves, the world, in a different light by this. It is definitely starting now, but it will take time to manifest, months and months. It could become clearer to us when Uranus reaches Gemini. Then we will have an exact opposition to Norway's natal Uranus, and this will happen in late April this year.